At 0430 hours, Naval Special Operations Center, Bravo 7, buzzed with pre-dawn preparation. The facility, nestled in the Virginia coastline between classified coordinates, housed some of America's most elite warriors. Men who could infiltrate enemy compounds in complete darkness, neutralize threats with surgical precision, and extract high-value targets from impossible situations. This morning, they prepared for Operation Nightfall, a hostage rescue mission that intelligence suggested had a 30% survival probability for the captives if executed with standard protocols. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. She arrived through the service entrance at 0445, 15 minutes after her shift officially began. Not late enough to draw attention, not early enough to seem eager. Maria Santos pushed her industrial cleaning cart through corridors that most civilians would never see, past briefing rooms where classified operations took shape, beyond armories that held weapons worth more than most people's houses. The Navy surplus work uniform faded from countless wash cycles. Steel-toed boots that had walked these floors for 8 months without anyone questioning her presence. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, secured with an elastic band that had seen better days. No jewelry, no makeup, nothing that would catch light or make noise. The kind of deliberate invisibility that service workers perfected out of necessity. Her cart contained the standard inventory: industrial-strength disinfectant, microfiber cloths arranged in color-coded stacks, a mop bucket on wheels with a wringer mechanism that squeaked slightly on the left side. Tucked beneath the bottom shelf, wrapped in a faded blue towel, was something that didn't belong on any janitorial supply list: a worn leather notebook filled with observations that would have interested certain people, if those people had known to look. The main corridor stretched 180 feet from the operations wing to the administrative section. She had memorized every inch of it: 17 doors, 3 emergency exits, 2 security checkpoints, and 1 ventilation grate positioned exactly 43 feet from the north wall. But more importantly, she understood the rhythm. How foot traffic flowed during shift changes. Which personnel moved with purpose and which moved with uncertainty. Where sightlines created blind spots that lasted exactly 14 seconds when guards rotated positions. Team Echo was assembled in Briefing Room 3. 12 Navy SEALs whose combined experience represented over 200 successful operations. Their leader, Commander Jake Thompson, stood before a digital display showing satellite imagery of a compound in Somalia. Concrete walls, guard towers, and heat signatures indicating 18 armed hostiles protecting 3 American contractors who had been missing for 72 hours. Intel suggests the hostages are being held in the central building. Thompson addressed his team with the calm authority that came from leading men through situations where hesitation meant death. Standard breach protocol puts us through the main gate at 0200 local time. Questions? Petty Officer First Class Danny Rodriguez raised his hand. Sir, what about the eastern approach? The satellite shows lighter security on that perimeter. Negative. The eastern approach crosses open ground for 200 meters. Too much exposure. Thompson clicked to the next slide. We go through the front door, fast and hard, shock and awe. Outside in the corridor, she moved with practiced efficiency. Her mop strokes followed a specific pattern: broad sweeps that covered maximum surface area, while positioning her body to observe through the briefing room's reinforced glass window. Not staring, never staring. Just the natural head movement of someone focused on her work while maintaining peripheral awareness of her surroundings. The briefing continued for another 40 minutes. Standard tactical planning. Competent, but predictable. The kind of approach that worked against conventional enemies who thought in conventional patterns. She finished cleaning the corridor's north section and moved her cart to the communications hub. where radio chatter provided additional context that the sealed briefing room couldn't offer. At 0615, Team Echo emerged from their planning session. 12 warriors who could rappel from helicopters, breach doors with explosive precision, and eliminate threats in complete darkness. They moved through the corridor with the confident stride of professionals who had trained for every contingency they could imagine. Their conversation carried the easy camaraderie of men who trusted each other with their lives. She was cleaning the water fountain near the armory when they passed. To them, she was invisible background noise in the operational symphony of their world. Just another service worker maintaining the facility where important people made important decisions. They had no reason to notice that her cleaning pattern had positioned her to observe their briefing, or that her movements through the building followed routes that provided comprehensive surveillance of their preparation. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell approached from the administrative wing, tablet in hand, expression indicating the kind of urgency that preceded mission launches. "Commander Thompson," she called as the team reached the armory entrance, "we need to discuss equipment loadout. Intelligence just flagged potential IED placement along your primary route." Thompson turned back, and for a moment, the entire team paused in the corridor. She continued mopping, steady strokes that brought her closer to their position without appearing intentional. Close enough to hear Mitchell's concerns about improvised explosive devices that could turn their frontal assault into a death trap. "Ma'am," Thompson replied with the patience of someone accustomed to last-minute complications, "we've planned for that contingency. Breaching charges and body armor will handle whatever they've rigged." Mitchell consulted her tablet, scrolling through intelligence updates that had arrived during their briefing. "Commander, this isn't standard ordnance. We're looking at sophisticated placement designed to funnel assault teams into kill zones." The conversation continued, but she had heard enough. Her mop moved in slow, deliberate strokes as she processed the tactical problem they faced. Frontal assault against prepared positions, predictable approach routes, enemy forces who had 72 hours to prepare for exactly this kind of rescue attempt. She had seen this pattern before, in different places, under different circumstances. The mathematics of tactical failure. She finished her assigned section and pushed her cart toward the service elevator. Behind her, Team Echo continued their discussion about equipment modifications and timing adjustments. Professional warriors doing professional work, unaware that the most significant tactical analysis of their mission had just been conducted by someone they had never bothered to see. The elevator doors closed with a soft mechanical whisper. Inside, alone with her cart and her observations, she allowed herself a moment of professional assessment. Operation Nightfall, as currently planned, had 3 critical vulnerabilities that would likely result in mission failure and casualties among both the rescue team and the hostages they were trying to save. But she was just the night shift janitor. Her opinions weren't solicited, her expertise unrecognized, her presence barely acknowledged. She had no official channel for providing input, no credentials that would grant her access to decision-makers, no rank that would make her voice worth hearing. The elevator reached the basement level where industrial cleaning supplies were stored. She had work to finish, floors to clean, and a role to maintain. Above her, preparations for Operation Nightfall continued according to standard protocols that had been developed by experts and tested in classified environments. Sometimes the most dangerous oversight in any operation is assuming you know who belongs in the room. The basement storage facility hummed with the mechanical rhythm of industrial ventilation systems. Maria maneuvered her cart between shelves stocked with cleaning chemicals, replacement parts for floor maintenance equipment, and industrial-grade disinfectants that could strip paint if used incorrectly. But her mind wasn't on inventory management. 3 floors above, Team Echo was making final preparations for a mission that would launch in 18 hours. Satellite imagery showed compound layouts, But satellites couldn't reveal the psychological patterns of captors who had held hostages for 72 hours. Thermal readings detected guard positions, but thermal couldn't predict how those positions would shift when assault teams breached perimeters. She pulled out her leather notebook and opened to a page marked with a small pencil line. 7 months of observations had filled its pages with details that would have puzzled anyone who discovered it. Guard rotation patterns at different facilities, response times between alarm triggers and backup arrival, the mathematical relationship between assault team size and successful extraction rates. Data collected not from classified briefings, but from watching how trained operators moved, how they communicated, how they solved tactical problems. Her handwriting was precise, economical. Each entry is dated and timed with military precision. Tonight's edition: Echo Team Frontal Assault, 12 operators, minimal variance in approach vectors. Predictable breach sequence. Enemy preparation time, 72 hours. Assessment: high probability tactical failure. The storage room's concrete walls provided perfect acoustics for the building's ventilation system, which carried sound more effectively than most people realized. Conversations from upper floors filtered through air ducts and fragments that someone with patience could piece together into meaningful intelligence. She had learned to distinguish voices, to recognize the urgency patterns that preceded different types of operations. Commander Thompson's voice carried through the ductwork, discussing ammunition loadout with his weapons specialist. Standard: combat load plus breaching charges. We go loud from the start. Lieutenant Rodriguez's response was barely audible but clear enough. What about suppressed entry? Give us tactical advantage before they know we're there. Negative. Intel suggests they're expecting us. Stealth won't matter once they trigger alarm systems. She closed the notebook and returned it to its hiding place beneath cleaning supplies. Thompson's logic was sound for conventional scenarios, but this situation had variables that standard tactical doctrine didn't account for. Hostages held for extended periods developed psychological dynamics with their captors. Guard forces that anticipated rescue attempts adjusted their behavior in measurable ways. The mathematics of human behavior under stress followed patterns that could be predicted if someone knew how to read the indicators. Her shift supervisor, Glenn Martinez, appeared at the storage room entrance carrying a clipboard and the slightly harried expression of someone managing night operations across multiple facilities. Santos, Building C needs emergency cleanup in the mess hall. Some kind of equipment malfunction flooded the floor. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. She nodded and began loading her cart with additional supplies. Building C housed support personnel, communication specialists, and backup operational units. Less prestigious than the main operations wing, but often more revealing in terms of actual mission intelligence. Support personnel talked more freely, assuming their conversations were less sensitive than briefings conducted by elite units. The walk to Building C took her through the underground tunnel system that connected major facilities without exposing personnel to external surveillance. These passages, originally designed for Cold War contingencies, now served as secure transportation routes for classified operations. Motion sensors tracked all movement, but she had learned their blind spots through months of careful observation. C's mess hall had indeed suffered a significant water incident. Industrial dishwashing equipment had malfunctioned, flooding the floor with soapy water that mixed with food debris to create a slippery mess that would require hours to clean properly. She set up warning cones and began the methodical process of water extraction, mopping, and sanitization that would make the space usable again. The mess hall connected directly to Building C's main corridor, where night shift personnel moved between duty stations. Her position at the floor's center provided clear sight lines to 3 different passageways, plus acoustic access to conversations that personnel assumed were private due to the late hour. 2. Communications specialists emerged from the radio room, discussing transmission delays that were affecting real-time intelligence updates for Operation Nightfall. Satellite coverage has gap windows every 43 minutes, one explained to the other. If the team hits complications during blackout periods, we won't have overwatch capability. The information added another variable to her tactical assessment. Rescue operations depended heavily on real-time intelligence updates. Communication gaps created vulnerability windows that experienced enemies could exploit if they understood timing patterns. She absorbed the details while maintaining focus on her cleaning routine, never appearing to listen to conversations that weren't meant for her ears. At 0230, Building C's activity level decreased as personnel completed their shifts or settled into extended duty rotations. She worked in relative solitude, using the quiet period to thoroughly clean areas that received heavy foot traffic during operational periods. But her real attention focused on analyzing the tactical puzzle that Team Echo would face in 15 hours. The compound in Somalia wasn't just a holding facility. It was a psychological pressure cooker where hostages and captors had developed complex dynamics over 72 hours. Standard rescue doctrine assumed static enemy positions and predictable hostage locations. But experienced captors used hostages as psychological leverage, moving them unpredictably to maintain control over both their prisoners and any rescue attempts. She had observed similar patterns in other operations, though her observations were never part of official debriefings. Night shift janitors weren't included in after-action analyses, regardless of what they might have witnessed or understood about mission outcomes. Her mop moved in steady, practice strokes across the mess hall floor, but her mind constructed three-dimensional tactical models based on intelligence fragments she had collected. Satellite imagery showed physical layouts, but it couldn't reveal how human behavior would modify those layouts under stress. Guard positions that looked strategic on thermal imaging might become tactical traps if assault teams approached using predictable methodologies. The mathematical relationship was elegant in its clarity. Conventional tactics plus extended enemy preparation time equals predictable failure rates. But conventional thinking rarely accounted for variables that existed outside standard training scenarios. At 0345, she finished cleaning Building C and began the return journey to her primary assignment area. The tunnel systems were nearly empty. At this hour, populated only by security personnel conducting routine patrols and maintenance workers completing night shift duties. She moved through passages she had memorized completely, past doorways that led to briefing rooms, armories, and communication centers where tomorrow's operations were planned by people who had never learned to see the tactical forest through the procedural trees. Back in the main operations building, Team Echo had completed their final equipment checks and retired to quarters for mission rest. Their gear waited in precise formation: weapons, ammunition, communications equipment, and tactical supplies arranged with the methodical attention to detail that separated elite units from conventional forces. Everything they needed to execute Operation Nightfall, according to doctrine that had been refined through decades of successful missions. Everything except the one tactical insight that could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. An insight currently possessed by someone whose expertise remained invisible to the very people who needed it most. She cleaned the final corridor of her shift as dawnlight began filtering through reinforced windows. Above her, the most dangerous mission in recent memory continued its countdown toward launch, guided by planning that was both professionally competent and potentially fatal in its conventional assumptions. At 1347 hours, 14 minutes before Operation Nightfall's scheduled launch, the intelligence picture shattered. Commander Thompson stood in the Tactical Operations Center, surrounded by screens displaying real-time satellite feeds, weather data, and communication links to Washington. What he saw made his stomach drop. The compound in Somalia had transformed overnight into something that bore no resemblance to their carefully rehearsed mission parameters. "Sir, we're seeing movement patterns that don't match any of our prepared scenarios," reported intelligence analyst Rebecca Walsh, her fingers flying across keyboard inputs as she attempted to process incoming data streams. "Thermal signatures show the hostages have been relocated to an unknown section of the compound." Master Chief Petty Officer Marcus Johnson, Thompson's senior enlisted advisor with 22 years of special operations experience, leaned over the main display console. "These aren't the same guard positions we've been studying for the past week. They've completely restructured their defensive layout." The satellite feed updated every 30 seconds, revealing a tactical nightmare that grew worse with each refresh. Guard towers that intelligence had identified as lightly defended now showed reinforced positions with interlocking fields of fire. Perimeter walls that thermal imaging had suggested were vulnerable now displayed heat signatures indicating additional defensive measures. Most critically, the central building where hostages were supposedly being held showed no signs of human occupation. Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Hayes from Joint Special Operations Command materialized at Thompson's shoulder, her expression carrying the weight of decisions that could end military careers or congressional investigations. "Commander, what's your assessment of the current tactical situation?" Thompson studied the screens, his mind racing through contingency plans that suddenly seemed inadequate. "Ma'am, the enemy has had 72 hours to prepare, and they've used that time more effectively than our intelligence predicted. This isn't just defensive positioning. They've created a tactical maze designed to channel assault teams into predetermined kill zones." Dr. Michael Chun, the operations behavioral analyst, highlighted specific areas of the satellite feed with a laser pointer. "The hostage relocation suggests sophisticated psychological warfare. They're not just holding prisoners, they're using them as mobile tactical assets to complicate rescue attempts." The screens flickered as another data update arrived from reconnaissance. Drones operating at the edge of Somali airspace. What they revealed defied conventional tactical wisdom. The compound's defenders had arranged their positions in patterns that suggested intimate knowledge of American Special Operations doctrine. Guard rotations followed timing sequences that would maximize response capabilities during the exact window when Team Echo was scheduled to breach perimeters. "Sir," Walsh called from her analytical station, voice carrying the strain of someone processing information faster than training had prepared her for. "We're also seeing electronic countermeasures that could interfere with communication systems during critical mission phases." Thompson felt the familiar weight of command decisions where perfect information was impossible and wrong choices were measured in body bags. "Options, people. We launch in 10 minutes or we abort and lose any chance of recovering our people." "Master." Chief Johnson consulted tactical manuals that had guided successful operations across 3 decades of special warfare. "Sir, we could modify the assault plan. Hit them from multiple directions, spread their defensive response." "Negative," Dr. Chun interjected, his behavioral expertise painting grim scenarios. "Multiple breach points increase the probability that hostages will be executed before we can reach them. The captors have had time to establish protocols for exactly that contingency." Hayes stepped forward, her authority carrying implications that reached far beyond this single operation. "Commander Thompson, I need a clear recommendation. Can Team Echo execute this mission with acceptable risk parameters, given current intelligence?" The Tactical Operations Center fell silent except for the electronic humming of communication equipment and the soft clicking of keyboards as analysts continued processing data streams. 12 Navy SEALs waited in the adjacent ready room, equipped and briefed for an operation that no longer matched the reality they would face on the ground. Thompson stared at satellite feeds, showing defensive positions that seemed designed by Someone who understood American tactical doctrine better than the Americans themselves. Guard placement that anticipated standard breach procedures. Hostage locations that turned rescue attempts into tactical traps. Electronic countermeasures timed to activate during predictable assault windows. Ma'am, based on current intelligence, I cannot recommend mission execution with confidence levels acceptable for hostage rescue operations, Thompson said, each word carrying the weight of 3 American lives hanging in the balance. The silence stretched for 10 seconds that felt like hours. Hayes consulted her secure communication device, likely receiving input from decision-makers whose names would never appear in official mission reports. When she looked up, her expression revealed the impossible mathematics of military leadership. Commander, we have intelligence suggesting the hostages will be moved to a secondary location within the next 24 hours. If we abort now, we may lose our only window for successful recovery. Dr. Chun highlighted additional sections of the satellite feed. The behavioral patterns suggest the captors are following a sophisticated playbook designed to neutralize conventional rescue attempts. This isn't opportunistic hostage-taking. This is strategic psychological warfare executed by professionals who understand our operational capabilities. Walsh's analytical station chimed with another intelligence update. Sir, we're now seeing indications of additional hostile forces moving toward the compound. Estimated time of arrival, 18 hours. After that, tactical complexity increases by orders of magnitude. Thompson felt the crushing weight of tactical impossibility. Standard assault procedures that had succeeded in dozens of previous operations were not just inadequate for this situation, they were potentially suicidal. The enemy had studied American Special Operations doctrine and created a scenario specifically designed to turn that doctrine against itself. What about unconventional approaches? Johnson asked, his experience suggesting alternatives that existed outside standard planning parameters. Someone who thinks differently about tactical problems? Master Chief, we don't have time to completely restructure our operational approach, Thompson replied, though something in Johnson's suggestion carried implications worth considering. This mission launches now or never. Hayes consulted her communication device again, then looked directly at Thompson with the expression of someone about to make a decision that would be analyzed and second-guessed for years. Commander, I'm giving you 15 minutes to present me with either a modified operational plan that accounts for current intelligence or a formal recommendation to abort the mission. The Tactical Operations Center erupted into controlled chaos as analysts, planners, and operators attempted to solve a tactical puzzle that conventional training had not prepared them for. Satellite feeds continued updating, showing defensive positions that seemed to anticipate every standard approach Team Echo might attempt. Thompson stared at screens displaying the tactical equivalent of a perfect storm. An enemy who understood American capabilities, hostages whose location had become a tactical variable, and time constraints that prevented careful replanning. Somewhere in that compound, 3 American contractors waited for rescue that might never come, or might arrive in a form that would cost more lives than it saved. In the adjacent ready room, Team Echo waited for launch orders, their equipment prepared for an operation that had fundamentally changed while they slept. Professional warriors trained for every contingency they could imagine, now facing a scenario that existed outside their training parameters. The mission clock continued, its countdown toward a launch window that might lead to tactical disaster. Above ground, in corridors where night shift maintenance continued, someone who understood tactical mathematics better than anyone in the operations center finished mopping floors, unaware that her expertise had become the missing piece in an impossible puzzle. Master Chief Johnson stepped away from the tactical displays, his weathered face reflecting 22 years of special operations experience. Something nagged at the edge of his memory, a pattern recognition that came from surviving situations where textbook solutions led to body bags. "Sir," he addressed Commander Thompson with the directness that senior enlisted personnel reserved for moments when protocol mattered less than lives. 6 months ago, we had a similar tactical breakdown during Operation Silver Dawn in Syria. Conventional planning failed, but someone identified alternative approach vectors that saved the mission. Thompson looked up from satellite feeds that continued revealing enemy positions designed to neutralize American tactics. "Master Chief, we don't have 6 months to develop new doctrine. We have 12 minutes. Johnson moved to the Operations Center's personnel database, his fingers navigating through classified files with practiced efficiency. "Sir, I'm not talking about developing new doctrine. I'm talking about finding someone who already understands unconventional tactical mathematics." Lieutenant Colonel Hayes approached Johnson's workstation, her authority focused on extracting information that might salvage an impossible situation. "Master Chief, explain what you're looking for." "Ma'am, during Silver Dawn we had intelligence that didn't match standard enemy behavior patterns. Conventional analysis failed completely. But there was a tactical consultant who identified psychological variables we hadn't considered. Movement patterns that predicted enemy responses with mathematical precision." Dr. Chun looked up behavioral analysis reports that offered no solutions to their current tactical nightmare. "Master Chief, psychological warfare consultants require security clearances that take months to process. We don't have that kind of time." Johnson continued searching personnel databases, cross-referencing mission reports with consultation records that existed in classified archives. "Sir, this person wasn't officially assigned to Silver Dawn. They provided analysis through informal channels. Intelligence that proved more accurate than anything our certified analysts produced." The Tactical Operations Center hummed with desperate energy as analysts attempted to solve tactical equations that conventional training couldn't address. Hayes consulted her secure communication device, receiving pressure from Washington to either execute or abort a mission that had deteriorated beyond recognition. "Master Chief," Thompson said, his voice carrying the strain of impossible command decisions, "unless you can produce this tactical genius in the next 10 minutes, we're looking at mission abort or tactical suicide." Johnson's search parameters narrowed to consultation records from the past 8 months, filtering for intelligence contributions that came from unofficial sources. His screen displayed fragments of information that painted an intriguing picture: tactical insights that had influenced several successful operations provided by someone whose identity remained buried in classification protocols. "Sir, I found something." Johnson's voice carried the excitement of discovery mixed with professional urgency. Multiple operations over the past year received tactical consultation from an unnamed source. Analysis that predicted enemy behavior patterns with unprecedented accuracy. Dr. Chun abandoned his behavioral assessment reports and moved to Johnson's workstation. "Master Chief, show me the analytical patterns. Mathematical modeling of psychological variables." The screen displayed tactical assessments that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of how human psychology influenced military operations. Predictions about enemy movement patterns based on stress indicators. Analysis of how extended captivity affected both hostages and captors in ways that conventional doctrine didn't account for. Thompson studied the consultation records, his mind racing to connect tactical insights with their current crisis. "Master Chief, these assessments are exactly what we need for Operation Nightfall. Who provided this intelligence?" Johnson's search revealed consultation records that referenced analytical contributions from facility personnel, but specific identification remained classified at levels that required authorization he didn't possess. "Sir, the source is listed as internal facility consultation, but access to specific identity requires clearance above my level." Hayes stepped forward with the authority to access classified information that could save or destroy the mission. "Master Chief, I'm authorizing emergency access to source identification. National security priority override. The database responded to Hayes' authorization codes, revealing consultation records that traced back to Naval Special Operations Center Bravo 7. Internal personnel who had provided tactical insights through informal channels, their expertise, recognized by results rather than credentials. "Ma'am," Johnson said, his voice reflecting growing understanding, "the tactical consultation came from someone assigned to this facility. Someone who's been observing operations and providing analysis. That proved more accurate than our certified intelligence specialists." Thompson felt pieces of an impossible puzzle beginning to align. "Master Chief, are you telling me that the tactical expertise we need for Operation Nightfall is already here, in this building?" Dr. Chun highlighted specific sections of the consultation records, his behavioral expertise recognizing patterns that suggested extraordinary analytical capabilities. "Commander, these assessments demonstrate an understanding of psychological warfare that exceeds anything I've seen from certified analysts. Mathematical modeling of human behavior under extreme stress." Houses consulted her secure device. Coordination with Washington complicated by tactical developments that no one had anticipated. "Gentlemen, I need source identification immediately. If we have tactical expertise available in this facility, I want that person in this operations center now." Johnson's database search narrowed to personnel assignments within their own facility, cross-referencing consultation contributions with current staff assignments. What he discovered challenged assumptions about where tactical expertise resided within military hierarchies. "Ma'am, the tactical consultation record references night shift personnel. Someone who's been observing operations and providing analysis through maintenance and security channels." Thompson stared at the consultation records, his mind struggling to process implications that contradicted everything he understood about tactical intelligence sources. "Master Chief, are you suggesting our tactical solution is coming from support staff?" "Sir, I'm suggesting our tactical solution is coming from someone who understands this facility, its operations, and enemy psychology better than anyone currently in this room." Hayes' expression reflected the dawning realization that desperate situations sometimes produce solutions from unexpected sources. "Master Chief, I need specific identification of this person now." Johnson's search parameters focused on personnel who had facility access during the time periods when tactical consultations were provided. Night shift assignments that would allow comprehensive observation of operational planning and execution. "Ma'am, the consultation records correlate with maintenance personnel assignments. Someone who had access to operational areas during planning phases and provided tactical insights that proved more accurate than certified intelligence assessments." Dr. Chun studied behavioral analysis patterns in the consultation records, recognizing analytical sophistication that suggested advanced training in psychological operations. "Commander, whoever provided this intelligence has expertise that exceeds standard military tactical education." Thompson felt the pressure of countdown timers that marked minutes until mission launch or abort, combined with the possibility that salvation existed within their own facility. "Master Chief, I need the name and location of this person immediately." Hayes authorized additional database access, her security clearance opening personnel records that revealed the identity behind tactical consultations that had influenced multiple successful operations. "Sir," Johnson announced, his voice reflecting surprise mixed with professional respect, "the tactical consultation source is Maria Santos, currently assigned to night shift maintenance operations in this facility." The Tactical Operations Center fell silent for 3 seconds that stretched like hours. Hayes, Thompson, Chun, and Johnson stared at database records showing that the tactical expertise they desperately needed belonged to someone they had never considered consulting. "Master Chief," Thompson said slowly, his command voice carrying implications that reached beyond immediate tactical necessities. Where is Maria Santos right now? Johnson consulted facility scheduling systems, tracking personnel assignments that would locate their unexpected tactical resource. Sir, Santos is currently assigned to Building D maintenance operations, third floor corridor cleaning. Hayes stepped toward the operations center's communication system. Her authority focused on acquiring tactical expertise, regardless of its unexpected source. Commander Thompson, I want Maria Santos in this operations center immediately. Emergency tactical consultation authorization. The countdown clock showed 8 minutes until mission launch or abort. Somewhere in Building D, a night shift janitor possessed tactical insights that might mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. The most critical intelligence consultation in operation. Nightfall's planning was about to come from someone whose expertise had been invisible to the very people who needed it most. Maria Santos entered the Tactical Operations Center at 13:53 hours, 6 minutes before Operation Nightfall's final launch window. She carried no folder, wore no uniform indicating special expertise, displayed no credentials that would explain her presence among some of America's most classified military operations. But when she approached the central tactical display and studied the satellite feeds showing the Somali compound, every officer in the room recognized they were witnessing something extraordinary. "Ma'am," Commander Thompson said, his voice carrying respect that protocol hadn't taught him to show toward night shift maintenance personnel, "we need your assessment of the current tactical situation." She studied the screens for 47 seconds, her eyes tracking enemy positions, hostage locations, and defensive patterns with the systematic precision of someone who understood tactical mathematics at levels that existed beyond conventional military training. When she spoke, her voice carried the quiet authority of expertise that needed no validation. The compound layout follows psychological warfare doctrine developed by former Soviet Spetsnaz units, modified for desert terrain and adapted to counter American special operations tactics, she said, her finger tracing specific positions on the satellite feed. The hostages have been moved to create tactical leverage that turns rescue attempts into strategic traps. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes stepped forward, her security clearance authorizing questions that would reveal classified information. "Ma'am, how do you recognize Soviet psychological warfare doctrine?" Maria's response carried implications that reached far beyond night shift janitorial duties. "Because I helped develop the countermeasures for it during my time with the Defense Intelligence Agency Special Analytics Division." The Tactical Operations Center fell into the kind of silence that preceded paradigm shifts. Dr. Chun abandoned his behavioral assessment reports and focused completely on someone whose expertise apparently exceeded his own. Master Chief Johnson's database searches suddenly made sense. They had found their tactical consultant because she had been providing intelligence from within their own facility for months. "Ma'am," Thompson said carefully, "please explain your background and how it relates to Operation Nightfall." Maria turned from the tactical display, her expression reflecting the weight of classified information that few people were authorized to access. 12 years ago, I graduated from Carnegie Mellon with advanced degrees in applied mathematics and behavioral psychology. Defense Intelligence recruited me directly for classified programs that don't appear in public records. Her story unfolded with the methodical precision of someone accustomed to briefing officials who needed complete information to make life and death decisions. Special Analytics Division had been created to address asymmetric threats that conventional intelligence couldn't predict or counter. Mathematical modeling of enemy psychology, predictive algorithms that anticipated tactical responses before enemy commanders formulated them, behavioral analysis that turned human psychology into tactical advantage. For 7 years, I developed mathematical models that predicted enemy behavior patterns with accuracy rates approaching 93%. My algorithms provided tactical foundations for 47 successful special operations across 6 different theaters of conflict. Dr. Chun interrupted with professional urgency. "Ma'am, what happened to your assignment with Defense Intelligence?" Maria's expression shifted to reflect memories that carried more weight than professional disappointment. Operation Desert Mirage, 4 years ago. My predictive models were used to plan a hostage rescue mission in Afghanistan. Mathematical precision, calculated approach vectors, behavioral analysis that should have guaranteed success. The tactical. Operations Center's electronic humming seemed louder during the pause that followed. Hayes consulted classified databases on her secure device, accessing mission records that required authorization levels beyond normal operational clearance. 8 operators entered a compound that my analysis had declared tactically secure. Maria continued, her voice carrying the precise tone of someone who had rehearsed these details during sleepless nights. 7 of them died because my mathematical models failed to account for one variable: betrayal from within our own intelligence network. Thompson felt the familiar weight of tactical decisions where perfect information was impossible and wrong choices were measured in casualties. "Ma'am, how did internal betrayal affect your predictive analysis?" "Someone with access to my behavioral algorithms provided them to enemy forces, who used my own mathematical precision against American personnel. The compound had been prepared using my predictions about how rescue teams would approach tactical problems." Hayes' secure device displayed classified information about Desert Mirage, confirming details that painted a picture of tactical brilliance turned into strategic disaster. "Ma'am, what was your response to the mission failure?" Maria's answer revealed personal costs that existed beyond professional disappointment. I attended funeral services for 7 operators whose deaths resulted from my analytical contributions being used by enemy forces. That night, I submitted my resignation from the Defense Intelligence Agency and disappeared from classified operations. Master Chief Johnson recognized patterns that connected past expertise with current tactical necessities. "Ma'am, how did you transition from defense intelligence to maintenance operations at this facility?" "For 2 years, I taught mathematics at a community college in Oregon, publishing papers on statistical theory that had no obvious military applications. I thought I was finished with warfare until civilian contractors started disappearing in regions where my old predictive models might provide tactical solutions." Chun studied behavioral patterns in her explanation, recognizing psychological motivations. That suggested profound personal transformation. "Ma'am, what brought you back to military operations?" I realized that walking away from tactical mathematics didn't eliminate the problems that mathematics could solve. It just meant that solutions would come from people with less experience, dealing with variables that conventional training doesn't address. Her explanation revealed decision-making processes that existed beyond personal career considerations. 8 months ago, she had applied for night shift maintenance at Naval Special Operations Center Bravo 7 under her civilian identity, using work history that made no reference to Defense Intelligence Agency service or classified analytical expertise. Night shift maintenance provided access to operational planning without official involvement in tactical decisions. I could observe mission preparation, analyze behavioral patterns, and provide informal consultation through channels that didn't require security clearances or official authorization. Thompson realized that months of tactical insights had come from someone whose expertise exceeded anyone currently assigned to official intelligence duties. "Ma'am, the consultation records show contributions to multiple successful operations. How did you provide tactical analysis without official assignment?" Maintenance duties allowed comprehensive observation of operational planning phases, security protocols, personnel movement patterns, communication procedures, all the behavioral data needed for mathematical analysis of tactical effectiveness. Hayes accessed additional classified records, confirming analytical contributions that had influenced strategic decisions across multiple theaters of operation. "Ma'am, your unofficial consultation provided Intelligence that proved more accurate than certified analysis from multiple specialized agencies. Maria's response reflected understanding of institutional dynamics that existed beyond individual expertise. Certified analysts work within doctrinal frameworks that don't account for variables that exist outside conventional training parameters. Mathematical analysis of human psychology under extreme stress requires data sources that official channels don't typically access. The countdown clock showed 3 minutes until the final launch decision. Around her, tactical displays showed enemy positions that conventional planning couldn't address effectively. But for the first time since intelligence had revealed the tactical nightmare waiting in Somalia, the operations center contained someone whose expertise matched the complexity of the challenge they faced. "Ma'am," Thompson said, his command authority focused on acquiring tactical solutions regardless of their unexpected source. "We need your analysis of Operation Nightfall's current parameters and recommendations for mission success." Maria turned back to the tactical displays. Her mathematical expertise finally aligned with operational necessity after months of providing intelligence from the shadows of night. Shift maintenance duties. Maria Santos approached the central tactical display with the focused intensity of someone who understood that mathematical precision could mean the difference between mission success and tactical catastrophe. 2 minutes remained until Operation Nightfall's final launch window, and satellite feeds continued revealing enemy positions designed to neutralize conventional American tactics. Her finger traced a path across the digital map that bypassed every approach vector Team ACO had rehearsed. Instead of the direct assault route that would take them through heavily defended perimeters, she outlined an infiltration pattern that followed psychological blind spots in the compound's defensive structure. "The captors have positioned guards to counter standard breach protocols," she explained to the assembled officers, her voice carrying the authority of expertise that transcended rank or official assignment. "But their defensive psychology reveals mathematical vulnerabilities that conventional tactics don't exploit." Commander Thompson studied her proposed route, which approached the compound through terrain that satellite analysis had marked as unsuitable for tactical operations. "Ma'am, that approach crosses open ground that provides no cover for advancing personnel." "Commander, the open ground approach is precisely why it will succeed," Maria replied, highlighting specific sections of the satellite feed. "Human psychology under stress creates predictable blind spots. Guards positioned to watch expected approach routes develop attention patterns that mathematical analysis can predict and exploit." Dr. Chun recognized behavioral principles that his training had taught him to consider, but never to weaponize with such precision. "Ma'am, you're suggesting that enemy psychology creates tactical opportunities that conventional analysis overlooks." "Doctor, I'm stating that enemy psychology follows mathematical patterns that can be calculated with sufficient precision to guarantee tactical success, provided the approach methodology abandons conventional frameworks." Lieutenant Colonel Hayes consulted her secure communication device, receiving final authorization from Washington for mission execution, based on tactical recommendations from their unexpected consultant. "Ma'am, explain how your approach addresses the hostage location variables." Maria manipulated the tactical display to show three-dimensional modeling of the compound's interior structure, revealing spatial relationships that satellite imagery couldn't capture completely. "The hostages have been relocated to create psychological leverage, but that relocation follows predictable patterns based on captor stress responses to anticipated rescue attempts." Her analysis revealed something that conventional intelligence had missed entirely. The hostages hadn't been moved randomly. Their new location represented a calculated psychological strategy designed to maximize tactical advantage for their captors while complicating rescue operations. But mathematical analysis of stress-induced decision-making revealed that psychological strategies contained inherent weaknesses that could be exploited by teams who understood the underlying behavioral mathematics. The captors expect rescue teams to search the compound systematically, room by room, following standard clearing procedures. But mathematical analysis of their psychological state indicates they've positioned the hostages in a location that provides them with maximum control during conventional assault scenarios. Thompson felt tactical understanding shifting as Maria's analysis revealed variables that military training had never taught him to consider. "Ma'am, how do we exploit these psychological vulnerabilities?" "Commander, by approaching the compound in a manner that triggers different stress responses in the captors. Responses that mathematical analysis predicts will cause them to relocate the hostages to a position that provides tactical advantage for rescue operations rather than defensive advantage for enemy forces." Her modified tactical plan was elegant in its psychological complexity. Instead of overwhelming force designed to break through defensive positions, Team Echo would execute a series of carefully calculated movements that would manipulate enemy psychology, causing the captors to relocate hostages to what they perceived as a more secure position, a position that Maria's mathematical analysis had identified as optimal for successful extraction. Hayes authorized immediate, mission modification based on tactical recommendations that represented the most sophisticated application of behavioral warfare principles she had encountered in 23 years of military service. "Ma'am, I'm authorizing Team Echo to execute Operation Nightfall according to your tactical modifications." At 13:59 hours, Team Echo received mission updates that transformed their approach from conventional assault to psychological manipulation. Commander Thompson briefed his operators on infiltration routes that followed mathematical predictions about enemy blind spots, timing sequences calculated to trigger specific stress responses, and extraction procedures designed around behavioral analysis rather than overwhelming firepower. The mission launched at 14:01 hours, 3 minutes past the original deadline, but perfectly positioned for tactical success that conventional planning couldn't have achieved. Satellite feeds tracked Team Echo's progress through approach vectors that appeared tactically impossible but proved mathematically precise in their exploitation of enemy psychological vulnerabilities. ***. 18 hours later, all 3 American contractors were extracted successfully without casualties among either the hostages or the rescue team. Enemy forces, responding to psychological pressures that mathematical analysis had predicted with surgical accuracy, had relocated the hostages exactly where Maria's behavioral equations had calculated they would, providing Team Echo with tactical opportunities that conventional intelligence could never have anticipated. But Maria Santos was not present for the mission debriefing that analyzed Operation Nightfall's unprecedented success. By the time Team Echo returned to Naval Special Operations Center Bravo 7, she had resumed night shift maintenance duties, pushing her cleaning cart through corridors where tactical victories were celebrated by people who would never know her name. Commander Thompson submitted mission reports that credited tactical success to innovative analytical methodologies, but security protocols prevented him from identifying the specific source of behavioral intelligence that had made victory possible. Maria's contributions remained classified at levels that required authorization beyond normal operational clearance. However, institutional change began immediately. Within 48 hours, new protocols appeared in facility security manuals. Unscheduled analytical consultants may require accommodation outside standard personnel authorization procedures. Verify expertise through operational command before denying facility access. Master Chief Johnson initiated informal networks throughout special operations communities, spreading awareness that tactical expertise sometimes existed in unexpected places possessed by people whose contributions couldn't be measured by rank or official recognition. Maintenance personnel, communications specialists, and support staff began receiving different levels of professional respect from operators who had learned that victory sometimes depended on insights from sources outside traditional military hierarchies. 3 months later, Similar situations occurred at installations across 4 different continents. Night shift personnel whose movement patterns suggested tactical awareness received invitations to observe operational planning sessions. Maintenance. Staff who demonstrated understanding of facility security protocols were consulted about potential vulnerabilities that certified analysts might overlook. Dr. Chun incorporated Maria's behavioral mathematics into official psychological warfare doctrine, though her identity remained protected by classification levels that prevented public recognition. Her predictive algorithms became standard components of tactical planning software used by special operations units worldwide. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes established the Unconventional Intelligence Initiative, a classified program designed to identify and utilize tactical expertise regardless of its institutional origin. The program's first official consultant was a former defense intelligence analyst who had spent 8 months providing mission-critical intelligence while officially assigned to night shift maintenance duties. Maria Santos continued cleaning floors at Naval Special Operations Center Bravo 7, her movements through facility corridors, now recognized by personnel who understood that some expertise operated outside visible hierarchies. Her worn leather notebook remained hidden beneath cleaning supplies, filled with observations that might influence future operations conducted by people who had learned to see tactical solutions in unexpected places. The most profound change was cultural rather than procedural. Throughout American special operations communities, a new understanding emerged that excellence wasn't always accompanied by official recognition, that the most crucial tactical insights might come from people whose expertise remained invisible until moments when conventional approaches failed completely. Sometimes the person who saves the mission is the one everyone assumes doesn't belong in the room. And sometimes the most dangerous tactical oversight is failing to recognize that true expertise doesn't always wear the uniform you expect to see. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.